There we go. Got the recording going. You all can read the objectives for yourselves. Take just a minute to read through them. Thank you for sponsoring your staff with a Teach Scholarship. And I just want to know if there's anything that you were hoping to get from this that is not listed. You can go ahead and let me know or give me a thumbs up. Thumbs up. All right. So we'll move on to the next slide. We're going to start with choosing the right staff. And again, you can read what we have written on this slide. We want you to know that because they're working full-time and going to school part-time, this is a 4 to 5 year commitment for staff who are working on their associate's degree. And it can be another 4 to 5 years if they want to go on to get their bachelor's degree. So it is wise to really think through who you want to put on a Teach Scholarship or sponsor on a Teach Scholarship and how many, because you have to give them release time. And it is a 3-way partnership where Teach pays part of tuition and books, the recipient pays 10%, and depending on your model, you pay a percentage of tuition and books as well. You don't have to put everyone that wants to be on a scholarship, and you can limit how many you put on a scholarship at one time. Would anyone like to share if they have any policies around their Teach sponsorship, how many you choose at a time? What thought process did you have in making these decisions? Was it just that they came to you and like, hey, I'm a person that wants to do this, so you decided to go ahead and do that? Is that how it happens? Okay. Is it the case for any of you that you're like, you've had multiple people want to be on and you can only do one at a time? Maggie, I see you came
I was just saying, I did the Teach program for myself. I got my AA and my BA.
on. Nice.
So being that fact, I encourage the staff to look into the program, but I also make sure they understand the whole commitment time that it's once you agree, you're going to be on it. I tell them my experience on it. We've had one other person prior, but then she had a life change and she wasn't able to follow through. But this is the only one we have right now.
I appreciate you sharing. Thank you so much. Yeah, it is good to consider as we have in these boxes here, like who is going to be committed to your program for the long term because of that 4 to 5 year commitment. Thinking through, I know that this person is invested in our program, and so I want to invest in them. We also want to let you know that if at any time you decide that maybe you don't want to continue the sponsorship, you can do that at the end of a contract. So we'll talk about this a little bit more with renewals, but and we just have had some of this happen recently. When it's time to renew for a new contract, the director, you guys might decide, I need them to work on attendance or performance or something like that. So we're going to put a pause on the scholarship. So just know that you can do that at the end of the contract, not in the middle of a contract, but at the end of the contract. Any questions about that? All right, we can move on to the next slide. So this is all about the contract. Each contract is for 1 year, covers 3 college semesters, fall, spring, and summer. The recipient can take up to 18 credits on that contract. They need to take a minimum of 9, but you need to know that you are committing to supporting them and paying your portion of up to 18 credits. When you sign that contract, you also need to know that, yeah, you're committing to paying your part of tuition and books to provide that 48 hours of release time, to award the compensation depending on the scholarship model, the bonus or the raise, and communicating with us about anything that comes up, whether that be questions or concerns you have about the contract, questions or concerns that you have about the recipient. We love to hear from you, and we will also communicate with you to keep you in the loop about what classes your recipients are taking, how many credits they're taking. And then we send out an annual scholarship or annual survey about our scholarship in April. And we really appreciate your honest feedback on those surveys because that helps us to better serve you and the recipient. And then, like I said, with renewals a little bit earlier. So at the end of each contract, you can renew with your recipient. There is no limit to the number of times the recipient can renew. Before we do that renewal, we're going to send out an email and we're going to ask for confirmation of information. Just make sure that nothing has changed. Is their email the same? Is their phone number the same? Is their address the same? Are they still working in the same classroom? Is their position the same? If anything has changed, that's fine. Just let us know. And we're going to ask both the recipient and you, and we're going to ask if you want to continue with a scholarship, if you want to sponsor them again, and if you want to continue with the same scholarship model. So sometimes directors decide that maybe the model that they chose isn't working the best for their program and they want to change models. At renewal is the time to do that as well. Any questions about any of that? Quiet group. Okay, release time. I think this might be the trickiest thing for directors. But we do require that you provide your staff or your teachers on the scholarship with 48 hours of release time if they are taking a minimum of 3 credits and on a full-time scholarship. So that's what this shows. They need to be working 30 hours or more to get that release time. If they're on a part-time scholarship, they don't get release time. They need to be taking classes. So right now we have teachers who are taking a break this summer. They do not receive release time when they're taking a break. If you're on a part-time contract, you don't get release time. If you're a director, unfortunately, you don't get release time. If they're not working, they don't get release time. Any questions about that?
How do we know if they're on a part-time contract?
It'll be the scholarship model will be the AP1 model. And
Okay,
that's when they're working less than 30 hours a week.
okay.
Yeah. Good question. Thank you.
What if you,
Yeah. Sorry, Amanda, I didn't hear you.
okay, what if you have an employee who is working between like 25 and 35 hours, where some weeks it's the 25, but then other weeks it's 35 to 40?
So when you apply for the scholarship and you put her on the your teacher on the model, it is, what do they work on average? And if they generally work around 30 hours or more, if it kind of averages out to that, then we put them on that full-time model.
Okay. That
And
makes
then
sense.
they receive that 40 hours of release time. Yeah. And we do really encourage too, if they are working like 29 hours a week, trying to find a way to bump them up to 30 hours so that they can get that full-time contract and they can get that release time. We reimburse the center for that release time. So part of that release time is you pay them their rate that you always pay them for time outside of the classroom. And then we reimburse at $15 an hour. I got to take a drink. My mouth's getting dry. Kayla, am I forgetting anything about release time?
Nope, I think you got everything. One thing about inactive recipients, a teach counselor will reach out to you at the beginning of each semester and let you know they're inactive. Do not give that release time, because we cannot reimburse for that semester if they are inactive.
Yeah. Yep.
And I have one question. They have to be taking at least one 3 credit course because
Yep.
my person is taking just one course for the summer, so she would get the full 48 hours, right?
Yeah, so we can advance to the next slide.
Oh, sorry.
Yep, no, you're fine. This is a good question though, and this leads us up to this one. So like if they're taking a 2 credit class or a 1 credit class, that adjusts the release time. So you can see there, if they're taking a 1 credit class, they get 16 hours of release time. If they're taking a 2 credit class, they get 32 hours. And if they're taking a 3 credit class or more than 3 credits, anything above 3 credits, then they get the 48 hours. And there you can see the amounts that we reimburse you for giving that release time. And that helps with your portion of tuition and books. So it is very beneficial for you to get them that release time, and it is required by the contract. We also suggest that you sit down with your recipient before the semester starts and kind of talk about release time. Everybody does it differently. There's lots of different ways to do it. Sometimes you can, if you want to give them a little bit at a time, you can pay for a lunch hour that is unpaid. You can let them leave early if that works within ratio. They can also say, you know, I can look at my syllabus and I can tell that I'm going to have a big assignment on this day or a test on this day. Can I have some time off before that to prepare?
One thing sorry, Lisa.
No, go ahead.
One thing as we approach summer, a lot of term classes are only 4 weeks, but they have the full summer to get that release time in. So say their class ends at the end of June, they have until August 14th to get those 48 hours in.
And then one other consideration with release time, if, and we don't ever want this to happen, but if they give you their notice and they're going to leave your center and they've put in their 2 weeks, do not authorize any more release time for them after that. Because that will be also breaking their teach contract. All right, here's the release time document. We call this the Form C. You need to fill in the sponsor name is you. You're the sponsor, the name of the center, the number of credits that they have taken, the semester that the release time has been given, the name of the recipient, and then we'll fill in that stuff for office use. And that you can use this to track their release time, write down that we need to know the date that they were given their release time, and we need to know how much time they were given on each day. So it's not just saying, yep, they got 48 hours at the end of the semester. We need each, you know, they got 1 hour on this day, and on May 30th, they got 5 more hours, to be very specific. And there's lots of different ways to do this too. You can also talk to your recipient about who's going to keep track of this. You both need to sign it. And by signing it, you're saying that you gave them 48 hours of release time. They're saying that they received 48 hours of release time and that it's accurate. Any questions about that? Okay. So I kind of jumped ahead, didn't I? Here's the ideas for release time that you can read on here. Has anyone given release time? Anyone have someone that has already been on a Teach Scholarship for a semester and would like to share about how release time went for them or how they worked it out with their recipient?
I'll share. My teach recipient, just whenever she knows she has big assignments due, she'll, like you said, looking at the syllabus and planning ahead. Also, I think the main way that she's been utilizing it is if she's sick or her kid is sick. So instead of digging into her sick or PTO time, being able to use that and then just like a mini vacation here and there as well. So it's been really good for her.
That's great that you like covered the whole spectrum of how to use release time. Thank you. Yeah, so if they are out of PTO and they need to take some time off, instead of having it be unpaid, you can use release time for that as well. Really, we know that working full time and going to school full time is a lot, and so they can use it for time just to like, I needed break. Yeah, yeah. All right, so understanding your financial responsibilities, and this is kind of how the money flows. And we tell the recipients this as well when we do our call with them, that personal responsibility call. So we tell the college what classes they're going to take, and we tell the college to bill us for the classes that we've approved on the Teach Scholarship. We pay for the books and we pay for the tuition up front. And then we, at the end of the semester, look to see what the recipient might owe and what the center might owe. We, again, like I said earlier, we take that release time against what your center might owe. So if your recipient got 48 hours of release time, they get $720 because that's at $15 an hour. Whatever you might owe for tuition or books will come out of that, and then what is left you can get, or if it's more than that, then you'll get an invoice at the end of the semester. Any questions about that?
Have you guys worked with a KinderCare before?
Yes.
Okay, so just because I know like we have our different departments and stuff, will like the invoices and stuff be coming to me or will that be going to corporate?
I
This is
can answer
Kayla.
I can answer that question because we have it. It depends on your center preference. We have some that go to corporate in, I think, Arizona, correct? Or we have some that go directly to the center. So it's how you want it set up.
Is there an easier way, I guess? This is the first we've ever dealt with it, so I just don't even know what best route to go.
We can get it sent to the corporate office if that works easiest for you. And then we
Okay.
can also share that statement with you as well. So you just have a heads up on your radar.
Okay, that will probably be the best then. We'll do that way.
Okay, perfect. I will make a note of that and get that sent to corporate then.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Here is an example of a statement that you'll get at the end of the semester. We close out probably about a month after our recipients are done with class. So like this semester, we'll be closing out around June 1st. This is just the statement showing what you owe versus what Teach owes and we're reimbursing for. This will come in the mail with a check unless you have the ACH payments, then a counselor will reach out within a week to do that. If you haven't filled out the ACH form yet, highly recommend it because those process within 1 or 2 business days, whereas a check can take up to a week. Just depends. Communicating with Teach. We want to hear from you all the time if you want to. It's fine. We're here to answer their questions, but these are the main items that we need to hear from. If a recipient is considering changing jobs or positions at the center, Teach does not support all positions at childcare centers. So we will request a job description if they're switching, but we just need to know to update our records and make sure they're still eligible for our scholarship. Number of hours that they work, like Lisa said earlier, we have part-time and full-time models. If they drop below 30, we just need to know so we know no more release time and also switch that contract for them. Program contact information. If you yourself plan on leaving your center, which we hope not, we hope you stay there. but we get it. Life happens. Please send us an email so we know who to contact in your absence. If they say that a class has changed, or if they withdrew from a class, or if a life event happened in the recipient's life, we want to know. We have all worked in the childcare field at least 3 to 5 years for all of us, so we want to know what's going on. We understand the struggles. Communicating with your scholar. So check in with your staff before class starts each semester. Some, if they're going to, I know WIT is an all online program, but they also have expectations of observation hours for practicum. So that could possibly be done at your center, but also sometimes they might have to go to a different center to do those hours. And that's a perfect time to use those release times. But making a plan before the semester is best practice. Encourage staff success with regular check-ins. Check in to see how class is doing, what they're learning, any challenges they're having. The more support they have, the more successful they will be at their class. Know that typically we hear from directors not very happy that their student withdrew from class or failed. We typically do not hear until the end of the semester and we get that final grade. So once we know, we let directors know as well. But if you hear that they're struggling or stuff, please reach out to us. And if you're not sure which counselor to ask, you can email the generic teach@iowaauc.org email, and we'll get you connected with the right counselor to answer those questions for you. Compensation. So Teach will let you know when these are due. You do not have to do any of these compensations until you get an email from one of our counselors. So with the bonus model, the first bonus is always paid by Teach. And then the second bonus, 6 months after the end of the contract, is either by the employer or Teach. You will get an email from us. If your staff is on a raise model, you will issue a 4% raise at the end of the contract. So once they meet the minimum of 9 credits, that's when you can issue the raise, and we will let you know. No, this is at the end of the contract, not after each class.
What
And then
what determines which model your participant is using? Is that like the school's decision or is that a Teach decision?
That is the program's decision. So whatever works best for you. Say you're on a raise model and that 4% is done every year once a contract is completed. Some programs will switch to a bonus model because 4% raise 8 years in a row might not be okay or cannot handle it. So just know that you can switch models if you need to.
And would we just notify you if we want to switch the model?
Absolutely. Just be aware of when the contract ends because we cannot change it mid-contract.
Okay.
Great question. Any other questions about compensation? Commitment period. So recipients continue employment for additional 12 months after each contract. So recipients could be in kind of 2 contracts at the same time. They could be taking education, but they could be still in the commitment period of their previous contract. Just being aware of those dates. Must continue to work the same amount of hours. So 30 hours for full-time, 20 hours for part-time, and they must stay in an eligible position. So still working as a director, assistant director, teacher, something similar to what they were when they were on scholarship. So I talked about this earlier. When things don't go as planned, we have withdrawn and failed documentation. So recipient has options to either take the class at their own expense or pay teach back. Do know if they do fail a class or withdraw a class, the teach or the center still does owe for that semester. So just be aware of that. Teach will not be able to pay for that class again unless they end up paying us back for the course. Once we know that they failed or withdrawn a class, that's when we contact you as a director, just so you're aware. So no, we don't know until you know. Associate and bachelor contracts. So recipients need to earn their associate degree and finish their associate contract before we can support them on a bachelor's degree. So if you have any staff that are interested in a bachelor, we need to help them with their associate first, just because it is cheaper for them at the associate level rather than the bachelor level. Once they earn their associate degree, we can help them work towards their bachelor's degree as well. What we've heard back from directors that they wish they knew before starting Teach. So creating your own contract. With the Teach contract, it's connected with us. We bill if they break it, but employers are allowed to make their own contract with the recipient if they want to. Over credit approval. So each contract we can pay for 18 credits. Know that sometimes they take a 4 credit class that might put them 1 or 2 over. We have to request approval from you for that over credit. It is up to you whether or not you want to pay it. You can tell us no if finances do not work out, but just know that we reach out to you before putting those credits on charge approval or on the contract. Student teaching contracts. We do offer stipends for recipients that are student teaching. Those ones, they contact their counselor and we work through it with them. If you have any teachers working towards their teaching license, start creating a plan now to know they might not be in the center for a full semester because they're student teaching. When in doubt, ask a counselor. There is no silly question. We are here to support you as much as we're here to support the recipient. So if you have a question, reach out, struggling, we would happily answer your questions. Teach values, feedback. We want to hear from you. If you're struggling in a semester or this isn't working out, or if a recipient that you started to sponsor, you decide is not a great fit, let us know. We want to know. Flexibility. Our scholarship is flexible, but do know we have to follow our guidelines for our teach license. So we can flex some things we don't. Just let us know. We will happily talk through it. Collaboration. We're a team. We want our teachers to be successful in earning their degree. So we are here to listen to you. And if you need help working on release time or having issues elsewhere, let us know and we can work together and create a plan. And communication. Reach out when you have questions. We love to hear from you. So we threw a lot at you. What questions do you have? One thing to know, our counselors all have probably a caseload around 75 to 100 recipients, and they're all divided by colleges. So you might be supporting 2 recipients on the scholarship, but with 2 separate counselors. So just be aware if you are getting emails from multiple counselors, it's because they're at separate colleges.
I have a question, Jessica. I sent you a private message. I think I might have missed a vote or a raise for for my recipient. If you don't mind looking into that for me when you get a second.
Yes, she is due a raise, but once I get her grades, and then I'll
Got
send
it.
that
Okay.
to you.
I was
So
like, oh my
it's
gosh, I
coming.
missed it. Okay.
You didn't forget yet, I promise.
Okay, thank you.
Is there a way to print this presentation so that I have it for future or?
Since we recorded it, we'll hopefully get it on the website or somewhere for you to have access to.
I guess my only other question is for my recipient, if there is anything else you're needing, because I know I was on medical leave when she was setting everything up, so I don't even know who I was talking with.
You were talking to me. We are
Okay.
good to go. We have everything. You should be hearing from Holly soon with her acceptance packet.
Okay, perfect.
Jessica, Tierney, did we forget anything?
I don't think so. We covered it all.
Any other questions? Okay.
Was
I know
there
you guys work
anything
with.
that the audience wanted to know that we didn't cover, like anything that you expected us to cover that was left out?
I do have a really quick question. So the teach contracts, you said we can make them ourselves, but so I'm new to our center and they were signed before I got here. So how do they get them? Are the recipients given them and then they forward them on to us? Because if we can make changes to them, I don't know where they're coming from first. Does that make sense?
Recipients should have the contract. Ideally, the center should have the contract as well. Do you know which counselor you've been working with?
I think Tierney
Yes.
has. Yes.
Yep. I was just gonna say hello. I made
Hi.
a note to send you a copy of all of your people's contracts.
Yeah.
Just so you have a copy of them because they were signed by previous people and you probably don't have access to that email and things like that. So I'll get a copy of you so you have for use, their models and their dates that the contracts are because they all probably don't line up. I think they all started at like different times as well. So I'll send you a copy of all of them.
So once I get a copy, so hypothetically, if we are going to switch the model next year, I would just take the form and I can edit that, or I just would reach out to you and you'd help me with it.
Yeah, you just reach out and we would be able to get them, like we wouldn't change the current contracts.
Right.
We would be able to make changes for the next contract.
Correct. Okay, perfect.
So like between contracts.
Yep.
Good questions. Anything else? If you think of anything else, reach out to us, let us know after. Come up with any other questions. We're always available to help you.